I'm up. I'm up. Hey everybody in the vinyl community, this is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, and I'm here to just share a couple of records that I recently picked up at the Keystone Record Collector Convention, which is about an hour's drive from here, really close towards Lancaster, which is probably where everybody outside of Pennsylvania thinks only the Amish live, but there's a couple other things out there as well. And every month they have this convention with many, many sellers selling great vinyl. Prices are usually pretty competitive, and if you buy a couple of things, you'll probably get a break overall, depending upon how you treat them and they treat you, etc. But luckily, it was early Sunday morning, and we didn't really have a whole lot else to do, so we figured, what the hell, head out there for a couple hours and see what's popping. And yeah, I hadn't been in a very, very long time. My membership lapsed, so I had to repay to get my dues card and all that. That allows you to go in an hour earlier than everybody else. So if you're really right there, you can get the fuck in and get out before the crowds come in, because it does get pretty tight in there sometimes. A lot of stanky humanity in one place. It's not San Diego Comic-Con bad, which is about as bad a conflagration of body odor as you're ever going to get in one poorly ventilated exhibition hall. People are in the vinyl community are generally better washed, I suppose, than comic book collectors. I do both of these things, so I guess I fall somewhere in the middle of stank. Anywho, I got a decent little haul out of it, and it was a fun time. So here we go. Yeah, normally I don't buy bootlegs. I haven't for many years. I used to buy everything that I could find that was a bootleg, and just got burnt so many times because the sound is very often hot dog shit on wax. But sometimes, I've had things on CD for many years that are boots, or just had the digital files, whether it's demos or a live show or a radio show that was put to wax. It originates from a digital file, but I don't get fucked up about that. I just want it on a record. And this time I did find a few things that I know exactly the source, because I do have it, whether it's an MP3 or a FLAC or an old ass CD somewhere in a box. And oftentimes these will be very, very good sounding versions as well that you won't get on a deluxe edition, because they don't put a lot of bonus tracks on vinyl deluxe editions. Like the deluxe CDs from 20 years ago had a whole other fucking CD full of home recordings, demos, radio shows, alternate instrumentals, or whatever things that I'm interested in. But luckily, almost all of these things that I bought at the convention, I have previous copies of and enjoy the sound of them. So I figured, why not get them on vinyl? The price wasn't too terrible, and you get to support a small business owner. And first up is one that I've had digital copies of for many years and have enjoyed, is Rage Against the Machine Live and Loud 1993. A-side has 4 songs from a show at the Universal Amphitheater in December of 1993, which is an incredible, wonderful place to see a concert. The sound is always superb. And the B-side has 2 songs that they did on The Late Show at that same year. And if I recall correctly, the legend on the CD that I originally had this said that the Universal show was a K-Rock show, which is not surprising, but it's a radio broadcast quality. And the Late Show material is, basically taken from a TV signal. But I think it's been treated well enough that it sounds good. The A-side has classics Take the Power Back, Testify, and Bomb Track. And the B-side with the Late Show cuts is Killing in the Name of and Bullet in the Head, which, if you are a Rage Against the Machine fan, you already understand that they're all dope songs. And I believe I have the live Rage Against the Machine Record Store Day release that they did a couple of years ago that they censored and bleeped out some things, which is mind boggling. I think they did that to Public Enemy as well on a live release or a greatest hits release recently. Just mind boggling stuff. But yeah, the price was right. Next up is another band that I dearly love, especially from this period of music. This is NXS doing a live broadcast in Ohio in 1984, which would put this hot on the heels of the release of The Swing, and after the success about a year and a half before that of Shabu Shaba. So you get a nice fillet of their best cuts on this one to that time. This is pre-Kick NXS, obviously. So you get incredible live versions of Original Sin, Black and White, Don't Change. There's great songs on here. I believe there is 12 in total. And yeah, on Cleveland, Ohio radio in 1984, I've got a couple of bootleg releases on my computer that fell off the back of a truck many years ago. And some of them are from the 84 swing through the States where they did these kind of in studio radio sessions and stuff. And they all sound incredible. They were such a very, very good band at that time. And just think they weren't even close to the heights that they would reach even 3-4 years later. Yeah, it's a sad loss. This next one, I have a couple of these versions across different bootlegs, but it's nice to have them all in one clearinghouse area. This is Social Distortion, and these are all live acoustic recordings, which once upon a time used to be pretty rare for a punk rock band, even one that delves as much into rockabilly and Americana music as Mike Ness does with Social Distortion. There are a lot of really good ones. There's Ball and Chain, Story of My Life, Folsom Prison Blues, Prison Bound. There's great, great stuff on here, and yeah, you don't see these things very often, especially out here. Because if you're from Southern California, Social Distortion, a lot like Oingo Boingo, is an institution, and they're everywhere. And you just kind of assume that anybody with a decent amount of taste in music is instantly familiar with that band's entire catalog and all the changes of members in the band, etc. But once you leave California, it's really not true. They still sell out nice venues all around the world, so they're very popular. But I haven't met a Social Distortion fan since I left Southern California, except for the ones that I've turned on by playing the music for them. Yeah, no, this is Men in Black, live acoustic Social Distortion. Coming up next here is the last of the boots that I did buy on that gray, heavy fog Sunday that I went to the record convention, and it is the Smiths, the Old Guard BBC tapes. I have, of course, I've shown before, a couple Hatful of Hollow. I have Louder Than Bombs. I have the Peel Sessions original CD on Strange Fruit that had the first BBC session. None of the ones I have had the last live BBC sessions from the Smiths with Sweet and Tender Hooligan. What else? I don't have Rush Home Ruffians on the BBC recordings. So there's a lot of cool stuff here that I just haven't had on vinyl before. And I have heard this one. I have a friend who had this one. So I know this one is good to have. And it's a worthy addition to the collection until they finally release. They hear my dreams and hear me talking in my sleep about a box set of Smith's vinyl BBC, entire box set on vinyl. That would be something. Just an amalgamation of Hatful of Hollow, Louder Than Bombs. I think The World Won't Listen has a couple. Like there's enough there to make a super dope box collection. And all they care about is money anyway. But at least we get the music. And I am as proud as ever of Johnny Marr for refusing to play with Morrissey ever again. And it's rare to see that kind of integrity in music. And as much as it is a loss for all of us to not see them play, I never did get to see the Smiths. I was like 15 when they broke up, and I really wasn't going to concerts, and I surely was not into that kind of music at the time. so I wouldn't have done. But I did see Morrissey in his prime solo in 91 and 92. So yeah, it is a bit of a loss, but I'd rather they went out like this than like get back together and not have it work out. Like luckily these guys don't have to do it for the money, and I appreciate that. This is an awesome one to have. Like this really rounds out my Smiths collection. All right, what else did I pick up here? Okay. This, I had been waiting to see if I could ever find an original in good condition for a decent price, and gave up the ghost, obviously, because I went and bought gold from Ryan Adams. This 2 LP, perfectly beautiful sounding version. I don't know which release this is in particular. This has had quite a few since then, but it is a slice of Americana folk rock kind of gold. I just had my interest renewed in this a couple of weeks ago. I don't normally go to stores or conventions with a list in mind of what I want to buy, because like the list on Discogs is like 6,000 records long, and it's so many variations that you're never going to see or be able to afford. But I tried to make at least a mental note of 3 or 4 records that I really wanted to pick up if I see them at the convention. This was the only one of the 3 or 4 that I saw, and the price was really good, and it's legit. I mean, I wasn't around the bootlegs anymore. This is a nice little record. And this one has aged very well. Like, this sounds like something that could actually be released next month. And nobody would be any the wiser. And here's another one I was amazed to find that I didn't already have a copy of. It's Parliament Motor Booty Affair, which isn't my favorite record of theirs, but I am trying to get the complete collection of what I consider to be the classic period of Parliament and Funkadelic. This is just, it's got one of those funky things. It's got Mr. Wiggles. It's got that amazing Overton Lloyd art all through. And here is something we don't get to see very often when we do run into a copy of the Motor Booty Affair, is the intact pop-up, which is always really cool because, again, the Overton Lloyd art. We got to raise Atlantis to the top. This is great stuff. I don't think I'm short of anything now as far as what I consider to be the classic records. I've been very lucky in finding them and not having to pay a ton of money. But I was glad to see this. This was only $10. With the original inner sleeves. Can't beat that. I was also lucky enough to find, although it's not an original, it's a 1988 repress of a classic, Texas Cookin' from Guy Clark, with title track being one of my all-time favorite Guy Clark songs. It's just a hilarious one. If you haven't heard it, I suggest you go listen to it. But there's also Virginia's Real, which is great. Me, I'm Feeling the Same, which is vintage Guy Clark. This is every bit as important to me as the first record, the original #1. That's a great record. So many good songs. Another one sadly missed. The great Guy Clark. Was also lucky enough to see in the bins at the convention this alternative rock classic, God's Own Medicine from The Mission, which I'm sure many people already know the story, but it's Wayne and Craig from the original Sisters of Mercy lineup, because nobody can seem to stand working with Andrew Eldritch for very long in his bossy ways. They went and made this classic record. This same year, Andrew and his version of the Sisters of Mercy released Floodland, which is my all-time favorite Sisters record as well. Great year for music. Fuck, man. The Strange Ways Here We Come came out in 87. The self-titled Echo and the Bunnymen came out in 1987. Awesome stuff. Yeah, this was the same dealer that had all the bootlegs. And like every 100th record in his bins was an original, legit version of a classic record. And I luckily grabbed this one before anyone else did. And I do love Bridges Burning and Let Sleeping Dogs Lie from this one, but overall, it's a no-skip record as far as I'm concerned. And also, the price was correct, because I would pay $20 for a mint copy of this every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So nice. And I'll set all embarrassment aside as a preemptive move on this one, because as much of a fan of Led Zeppelin as I am, and I have most all of their records, except I didn't have physical graffiti, much less an original press in really good condition with the inserts intact and everything. But outside of Houses of the Holy and Kashmir, but there are tracks on here that I'm just not all that familiar with. I've never owned this on CD, cassette, anything. So I knew I would get it someday, and I know I've heard every single thing they've ever recorded on at least studio albums a few times, but sometimes you just can't place the song to the title, etc. Awesome to actually have this one in the collection now, and the price was so good. All original sleeves. Every record is in great condition. Impossible to complain. So it was a great record convention overall. Didn't spend a ton of money, which is always a bonus, especially if my wife is coming along. And I really hope we can go at least once more before the end of the year. There's a November and December show coming up. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, and thanks for watching. I'll be making another one with my September pickups that I got from pre-orders and eBay shops, etc. So I'll talk to you all soon.